Hi guys, my name is Curen, and I'm so excited today to present you my findings on honeybees' negative responses to pollen patties by aggression, health risk, and decreased population. Now, this is why you should listen to today's presentation on pollen patties and how it affects the honeybee. We should all care about this topic because bees provide 1/3 of our food to us. This is a lot. This happens through hours of intense work that bees take on every day. Through harsh weather conditions and the environment changes, bees slow down by changing colonies, brooding, death, and so many other things. Beekeepers started feeding colonies pollen patties. These pollen patties are a popular bee food supplement that provides bees with essential nutrients, especially protein, before pollen is available in nature. They are made by combining pollen, sugar, and other ingredients mixed to form a patty. These patties are placed on top of the hive frames where bees can access them easily. There are many different recipes and substitutions for the same outcome. The tricky thing is that usually these patties are not containing all of the awesome ingredients that these beekeepers think. We'll talk more about this later. Something else to note before we dive in is educating yourself on bees' usual temperament. Bees are usually very calm insects that are gentle during work days and when interacting with other bees, unless a predator like a skunk or human is threatening them. Also, the genus is Apis, which is Latin for bee, and Malvaria is Latin for honey bearing, referring to the species' production of honey for the winter. Today, we will be talking about the Western European honeybee. All this information brings us to our question of how do honeybees negatively respond to pollen patties? We will be looking at three main points today of behavior, health, and population. We will first be looking at behavior. One major threat to the Western honeybees is pesticides. This comes in all forms, but specifically, we'll be looking at them in pollen patties. This causes them to respond aggressively to pollen patties because they see them as a threat. They are filled with chemicals and toxins. They will produce this pheromone to communicate with other bees that they are in danger. This graph on the right here shows us a large spike in aggression just minutes after consuming a pollen patty. Scientists describe this feeling as an anxiety or panic attack to us. They are overwhelmed with chemicals. As we can see, they spike over 10 units of what they should be on their behavior score. Secondly, we will be looking at their health declining. Patties are used to feed and supplement bees through the winter and late spring. Pollen patties' purpose is to feed the bees carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. This is to increase pollination, brooding, and a lot of other things. What truly occurs is weakening colonies, increased death rates, and non nutritious meals. In the spring, you may not want to give large amounts of pollen patties as you can risk overstimulating your colony, as we saw in the slide before, leaving it with lots of worker broods and not enough nectar and honey to feed them. From this graph, we can see the different declines in health from all different types of patties. Almost every one of them is affected by this negatively. None of these are benefiting the bees, but rather benefiting the beekeeper and the profit they could potentially make off of these precious bees. Lastly, we see bees negatively respond to pollen patties by their population as a whole declining. This graph we see was a major study where they gave honeybees 6 different diets and recorded their reaction and long-term effects. This graph shows us that brood and colonies was affected by whether or not a pollen substitute diet was being fed. Only 31% of the colonies fed HFCS still reared brood by the end of the study, compared with more than 90% on all other diets. We see a massive decline in population from the study. The 30% tells us that none of the bees were healthy, and a lot of them were struggling to survive, but mostly thrive. In conclusion, we see honeybees' negative responses to pollen patties by aggression, health risk, and decreased population. Their behavior spikes towards aggression when they have consumed pollen patties. They let other bees know by producing a pheromone. Honeybees' health rapidly decreases after being provided pollen patties by weakening their immune system. Lastly, their population plummets down when being fed pollen patties because chemicals are a source of energy, leaving them no fuel for their insect body, as we saw with their death numbers spiking. There's a major significance and information we can walk away with that will change how me personally and hopefully you view the honeybees. If you haven't listened to anything this whole time, listen up right now because this is super, super important. In conclusion and significance, since pollen patties have been proven to harm the environment and multiple species of bees, everyone should become educated on pollen patties and the Western honeybees so that we can help them thrive and feed them nutrients that will help them thrive. This could look like starting a group in your hometown, volunteering at the closest bee colonies to you, or anything in between. The long term impact is bees going extinct and humans losing honey and pollination for our crops. This is so important and a topic I believe that everyone should be passionate about. We should all pick one person today in our family, neighborhood, or in our community that we want to go tell this about so that us as a group and as a class can help these bees thrive. Thank you so much for listening. Let's get to work. Here are my references provided below.